Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Faradiva with student ID number A12124153. And in this video, I would like to present my review of a manuscript submitted to the A Journal of ELTS or English Language Teaching Society. In this review, I will evaluate whether the manuscript meets the requirements and guidelines provided in the ELTS journal template. I will examine several aspects of the manuscript, including the document header, abstract, keyword, how to size section, introduction, research method, research findings and discussion, conclusion, and reference. For each section, I will identify the parts that already complete with the journal requirement and the part that still need to be revised. So, without further ado, let's begin the review with the document header. First, I will start with the document header. The header section. Overall, the header does not yet fully follow the ELTS journal template and requires a few adjustments. The main issue is the title length. The title contains 19 words, while the journal template requires the title to contain between 9 and 15 words. Therefore, the title needs to be shortened to meet the journal requirement. In addition, in the author's affiliation section, there are superscript numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 before the study program name. Since there is only one author listed in this article, these numbers should be removed and replaced with just one. Okay, next I will discuss the abstract. The abstract needs revision. Although it already follows the required Arial 10-point font and single spacing format. It contains 255 words, which exceeds the journal maximum limit of 250 words. Furthermore, the abstract clearly presents the research objective, method, and results. However, the research implications are not explicitly stated. Therefore, the abstract should be shortened to meet the word limit and revised to include a clear statement of the research implication. Okay, moving on to the keywords. This section also needs revision. The manuscript provides for keywords, which meets the journal's requirement of 3 to 5 keywords. However, the keywords are not correctly separated by semicolons. In particular, there should be a semicolon between peer correction technique and writing skill. Therefore, the keyword should be properly separated according to the journal template. And next, the how to cite section does not complete with the ELTS journal template. The section is incomplete and incomplete and does not provide important information such as the author's name, publication year, article title, journal name, volume, issue, and complete citation information. Therefore, this section needs to be completed by following the citation format provided in the ELTS journal template. After that, I will discuss the introduction section. The introduction does not fully complete with the ELTS journal template, although it contains the research background, research problems, and related literature. Several aspects still need revision. First, the body paragraph should be formatted in Arial 10-point font with single spacing. However, some paragraphs are written in Times New Roman 12 point with multiple spacing. Second, the significance and originality of the research are not clearly explained. In addition, the introduction does not explicitly synthesize previous studies to establish the state of the art and research gap. Finally, the research objective should be stated explicitly at the end of the introduction as required by the journal template. Next is the research method section. This section needs revision. The heading already follows the ELTS journal requirements because it is written in Arial 12 point, bold, uppercase, and leaf likeness. However, the body of the research method, the meta section does not follow the required formatting because it uses Times New Roman 12 point instead of Arial 10 point. And in terms of content, the section already explains the research design, population, sample, research instrument, data collection procedures, treatment, and data analysis. However, some definitions of population and sample are unnecessary because the ELTS template requires the method section to focus on the step-by-step procedures conducted in the research. And therefore, the formatting needs to be corrected and the method description should be made more focused on the actual research procedures. Moving on to the research findings and discussion section. The section also needs revision. In terms of content, the research finding section generally meets the ELTS journal requirements because it presents and analyzes the research result, including the pretest, post-test, and hypothesis testing. Meanwhile, the discussion section should ensure that the findings are discussed based on the theoretical framework and compared with relevant previous studies. This comparison should include their similarities, differences, and contribution to existing research. In terms of formatting, the main heading and the research findings, result, and discussion subheadings follow the required format. However, the final paragraph of the research findings, the definition is formatted in Times New Roman 12 point, which does not comply with the requirement for body text to use Arial 10 point with single spacing. And furthermore, table 1 is already inserted directly into the text and has its caption placed above the table. However, the caption is center aligned instead of left aligned, whereas the ELTS template requires the table caption to be left aligned. The table itself generally follows the required horizontal line format. Therefore, the final paragraph needs to be reformatted and the table caption should be left aligned. Finally, I will discuss the conclusion section. The conclusion needs revision. In terms of content, it restates the main findings of the study and explains the effectiveness of the peer correction technique in improving students' writing skills. It also provides some understanding of the benefit of peer correction, such as increasing student engagement and encouraging students to learn from each other. However, the conclusion does not clearly demonstrate possibilities for future exploration of the topic as required by the ELTS journal template. In addition, the research implications for the field of study and education in general are not explicitly explained. Therefore, the conclusion should be revised by adding clear suggestions for future research and the more specific implication of the findings. In terms of formatting, the conclusion use Arial 12 point, which should also be revised according to the required body text formatting. Lastly, I will discuss the reference section. Overall, the reference section does not yet follow the ELTS journal template. First, it does not meet the minimum requirement of 25 reference published within the last 10 years. In addition, the manuscript does not include the required two articles from the e-journal of ELTS and relies heavily on outdated sources. And furthermore, the APA style is applied inconstantly. For example, there are inconsistencies in utilizing titles, formatting author names, and presetting publication years. Therefore, the reference need to be revised to follow the required APA style consistently. Using a reference manager such as Mendeley is also highly recommended because it can help organize the citation, formatting, and alphabetical order more accurately. Hopefully, this review provides a clear overview of the strengths and areas that need improvement in the manuscript. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.